right? Yes or no? So presence is nothing but the way we are present in the virtual world, right? How we feel, whether we are in the physical world or the virtual world, we are experiencing that. So whenever we need to create an immersive environment, we need an interactivity where we can interact with the virtual elements or the objects which is created in the virtual world, right? And the presence, whether we are present in the physical world, we need to impact or we need to represent that in the virtual world, right? So to create an immersive environment, we need all these elements: presence, agency, and interactivity. So by creating all this, we need to experience the overall experience and how we are engaging and connecting with the users within the virtual world or augmented reality, right? Yes or no? So what is presence? So presence is nothing but in which extent the users will feel like they are truly in that virtual environment which is created, right? So to achieve a strong sense of presence, what we need to do, we need to involve and create a convincing world that will capture users attention and makes them to forget about the real world. So to make this, what we can use is we can create a visualization in a very different way, and we can give the audio system in a different way, right? So that it will attract the users and then they'll get the attention of that virtual space which is being created, and they will try to forget about the real world which they are present and they are experiencing, right? So by use so how can we achieve the presence is like we can use a different way of graphics, and I have already said the audio system will also make impact, and the haptic feedback, how interactive and how intuitive users can use that particular interface which is being created, right? So by immersing users, what we will do, we will compel the users to engage into that virtual environment which is being created, right? So that they can experience it in a immersive way, and the engagement of that particular virtual space also they will be.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, 2019 is waiting, ma'am. Could you please allow him?
Still anyone is there in between to add?
Thank you, ma'am.
So this is about presence, and the next one is agency, right? So agency is nothing but how we are going to control the senses in that particular virtual environment which we are using, right? So here we are going to provide users the ability to interact and influence that particular virtual world. So in agency, what we are going to do, we are going to change if any changes in the 3D objects, right? And we are going to interact with the virtual objects present in the virtual environment. So here we can make a choice and we can do some actions that will make users feel like they are actively participating in that particular environment, right? So here how we are going to achieve this agency is we are going to create an interactive element so that we have responsive player characters or non-player characters, and that will be used dynamically. So it will help the users to interactively use that particular environment which is being created, right? So here what user is going to do, he or she is going to experience it, and they are going to invest time, and they are going to take some decisions and actions according to how they are going to control that virtual environment which is being created by that particular user. So that is agency. So presence is nothing but in which extent the user is feeling that they are present, truly present in the virtual environment. So in agency, it is nothing but how they are going to control and how much freedom they are going to give to that virtual environment which the user is creating. And the next one is interactivity is nothing but how immersive the environment we are going to create and how we are giving responsiveness to that particular environment according to the user input and how users are manipulating and exploring their surroundings in the virtual world. So in interactivity also we have a range according to the user how the virtual environment is being created. So interactions may be like simply picking like objects or pressing few buttons or giving more complex systems to involve problem solving and having social interactions in the virtual environment. So this is also one kind of interactivity, right? So here what we are going to do, it is similar to agency, but here what we are going to do, we are going to only interact with the virtual environment which is being created, right? So here users are encouraging to explore and to experiment or discover how many possibilities, what are the possibilities and what is the surrounding area which we are going to experience in the virtual environment, right? So here what it promotes is it will promotes a deeper sense of immersion. And here we can have a sense of presence and agency also in interactivity. So these are the three components or the elements which we use to create a virtual environment immersively. And the next first topic is augmenting the sense of presence. So how we are going to augment the sense of presence, right? So there are several strategies and considerations to help us to implement the sense of presence. So first thing we are going to do is high quality visuals and graphics we are going to implement to create a virtual environment, right? For this we need graphics and visual fidelity.
Ma'am, can you allow the students who are like, there are some students waiting
Yeah,
to
what
be
is
allowed?
the time for what is the time for the class? 2 o'clock.
Ma'am, they're saying they have been waiting for the past 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
Still there are, still they'll come. Whenever you want you can come into class because of this is online class. When is your class time? It is 2 o'clock, but then I have started by 2:10. 10 minutes is also not enough for you students. So to enhance the visual quality of the virtual environment we need high resolution textures and lightning and shading techniques also we need to improve so that it will reach the high quality visuals and graphics. So what it will do, it will help us to create a more visually immersive experience so that users will feel more present into that virtual world which is created, right? So the next strategy or the consideration is field of view and perspective. So if we are considering the field of view and the perspective of the user within the virtual environment, so they are having a camera which is placed and the angle should match the user's natural view, how they are viewing their visualization, right? Match, and it should be more realistic and immersive so that the users can experience it in a more way, right? So the next one is audio. That means the sound effects which we are going to do give and the spatial audio techniques which we are using for 3D environment, right? So by placing accurate sounds in a virtual space, it will match the real world sources, and it will allow users to think that sound is coming from different directions and distances, right? So this will enhance the users to help to create the sense of presence and immersion. And the sound effects, it should be high quality sound effects that should match the actions and the events that are performed in the virtual environment which is created, right? So that what will happen is the environmental sounds and the object interactions and the movements of the character should match, and everything will be like very immersive and intuitive, so the users will feel the sense of presence and they won't feel that they are present in the real world. So to make it that, we are using this audio, right? So the next one is haptic feedback, right? So haptic feedback and tactile feedback, all these are the devices or the technologies that will provide the physical sensations and in response to their actions, right? So this will include the kind of vibrations or the force which we are applying to experience the texture of that particular object, or the pressure which we are going to give while we are interacting. So all this will include the feedbacks, right? Tactile feedback is like we are going to enhance the sense of presence so that we can feel more tangible that we are present in the virtual world, right? And we have natural interactions, that is when we are designing the user interface should reflect the real world interactions that we are using to replicate in the virtual environment, right? So here we will be using gesture based controls, and we are using motion trackings or voice commands. So while providing all this, what we are going to give is we are going to give an immersive environment where we can interact with the virtual environment, and what users will feel is they'll feel that like they are present in the virtual world and they will feel more engaged. And real time interactions is nothing but we will be interacting with the others using the virtual characters. For example, you have the avatar characters which you can create in a virtual world, right? So by creating those avatars, and you can interact in a real time applications if you have implemented, right? So for example, if you take a multiplayer game, so that there will be different characters which is named by a nickname or your names which you are going to play. So you will be responding dynamically and you will be interacting, and the actions will be performed in that particular game if a game is being played. So all this should reflect in the virtual environment which a person is using or playing, right? So here we will be having a real time interactions and we will be having a social aspect. So for using all this, what we are going to enhance is we are enhancing the sense of presence. And the environmental effects, like you have dynamic environments, that in virtual environment you will be changing weather conditions or the day night cycles or physics based interactions. All this you can do dynamically in a virtual environment when you are creating, right? So and the next one is personalization and customization. So when you are personalizing and customizing a game, there you will allow the others or users to customize their avatars. So they can select which one it should represent for that particular player, right? So that they can select that particular avatar character for representing a player in a game, right? For this purpose, the the users will have a sense of ownership and investment. So they'll take time to select which one they want, which name they want, right? So that it will increase how much they are giving the sense of presence. And Next one is environment customization. And while creating a virtual environment, we will be using how to customize and personalize the environment which they are creating for a game or for an application. So here we will be adjusting lightning, and we will be choosing different types of decors, and we are modifying overall ambience according to the user, and we will be customizing and allowing users to trail the environment according to their preference, and they will enhance by using this sense of presence, right? So this is about augmenting the sense of presence. CO2007. Who is CO2007? Half an hour is over, and now we are joining the class. So the next topic is identity in immersive environment. So how we are going to identify? So if, for example, we have an example here where we can create an augmented identity. So we have an application where users point a smartphone. So here if you see in this example, users, they are placed a smartphone on a stranger, so it will immediately learn about them. So about them, whether they are present in a Twitter or Facebook or some other social media where their information is being shared. So that will be given through this application. So through these apps we can learn about a stranger, about their personal information which is being stored, which they have updated in that particular app. So it is developed by the Estonian tribe. So this is known as TAT here. So it is a Swedish mobile software. So where it is designed, and that given the prototype software. So here what they have combined is computer vision, cloud computing, and facial recognition and social networking. So by combining all this, they have created a software where we can keep that particular mobile phone on a stranger by using that application or that particular software, so that we can find that person is available in any kind of social media apps, and what is the information given about that particular stranger in that social media, right? So this is that example where a person can use that particular software in their mobiles, and they will be getting the information about that particular person, and about their name, their personal details, which is being shared while you are creating, right? So this is the example. So if you see in this video, you can notice that whenever he or she fixed the apps which they are going to use, and they have fixed their details, and so that whenever other users are using this particular software, they are getting the information gathered about that particular stranger which they wanted to know, right? So if anyone is pointing a direction and they are trying to identify better, so they will be having, so some users may try to change or try to misuse that particular information, right? So if you are using this TAT augmented ID, so whenever some strangers might be getting gathering your own information, so that is not secure by using this augmented ID, right? Yes or no? So for this, they have just created to identify a person by using augmented reality. So this is the software that they have created, that is stat augmented id, so that they can know the information about a stranger. But according to security, it is not correct that if we are getting an information about others, there are people who can misuse the information about the strangers, right? So this is the disadvantage in this software. So when is your class? What is the class time?